For decades, one image above all others has defined American military power. Not a fighter jet. Not a nuclear missile. Not a tank column rolling across a desert. It is a ship, 100,000 tons of steel, nuclear-powered, carrying billions of dollars in aircraft and weapons, and nearly 5,000 human lives. Sailing into any ocean on Earth as a message to the world that America is watching. America is present. And America is present. And America cannot be touched. That ship is the USS Abraham Lincoln. And right now, in the waters of the Arabian Sea, that message is being directly challenged. Iran says it hit the carrier. The Pentagon says it didn't. And in the fog of that contradiction, a question is hanging over every military capital on the planet tonight. One that nobody has had to ask since the Second World War seriously. What happens when an American supercarrier gets hit? Let's start with the confirmed facts and work outward from there. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, announced that its missile forces launched 4 ballistic missiles at the USS Abraham Lincoln, operating in the Arabian Sea. They claimed the carrier was struck, rendered non-operational, and forced to retreat from regional waters. Central Command responded swiftly and firmly. They stated there is no damage to the Abraham Lincoln. The carrier strike group, they said, remains fully operational and continues to carry out its mission. 2 opposite claims. Both from official sources, neither with independent verification. Adding to the picture, a fire broke out aboard the second American carrier in the region, the USS Gerald R. Ford. While operating in the Red Sea, 2 sailors were injured, though the fire was quickly contained. That incident is separate from the IRGC claims. But together, these events paint a picture of American naval forces operating under serious and sustained pressure. Meanwhile, CBS News reported that 19 American military personnel were medically evacuated from Saudi Arabia to a military hospital in Germany. Unofficial reports in U.S. media suggest American casualties across all incidents in this conflict may now be approaching 140 injured. With 13 killed, 4 American jets have gone down. 10 radar systems have been destroyed. Not as an isolated headline, but as the latest chapter in a conflict that has already cost the United States significantly. To understand why the carrier claim matters so much, you need to understand what these ships actually represent, because it goes far beyond military hardware. The USS Abraham Lincoln is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered supercarrier. It costs somewhere north of $4 billion for the hull alone. Its air wing, the aircraft it carries, adds billions more. It carries between 85 and 90 aircraft, F-35S, FIE-18 Super Hornets, electronic warfare jets, early warning aircraft. It is in every practical sense a floating airbase that requires no runway on foreign soil, no permission from any host nation, and no fixed address. The United States operates 11 of these ships, more nuclear-powered carriers than the rest of the world's navies combined, and for nearly 80 years they have been the centerpiece of how America projects power globally. But here is what often gets missed in the military analysis. Carriers are not just weapons platforms. They are symbols. When a carrier strike group sails into a contested region, it is delivering a message to every ally and every adversary watching. That America is committed, America is capable, and America is not going anywhere. That symbolic weight is inseparable from the military weight. Damage one and you don't just degrade a weapons system. You challenge a story the world has believed for generations. Here is what the Pentagon briefings rarely make clear, and what every honest military analyst understands. Persian Gulf is not the open ocean. It is not the Pacific, where a carrier has room to maneuver, where threats can be detected at enormous distances, where the geography favors the most powerful navy in the world. Persian Gulf is essentially a bathtub, roughly 990 kilometers long, at its widest point, no more than 340 kilometers across, surrounded on 3 sides by Iranian territory. And Iran has been preparing for exactly this kind of confrontation. Not for years, but for decades. After watching what happened to Iraq in 1991 and again in 2003, Iranian military planners made a rational calculation. Fighting America the conventional way, versus tank, jet versus jet, is a path to certain defeat. So they built something different. What military strategists call anti-access area denial. A layered system of weapons specifically designed to overwhelm American naval assets in confined waters. That system includes precision ballistic missiles, capable of hitting moving ships, cruise missiles that fly low and fast, and are extremely difficult to intercept in cluttered radar environments, hypersonic weapons, submarines, and hundreds of fast attack craft. Small heavily armed speedboats operated by the IRGC, trained specifically for swarming tactics in the narrow geography of the Gulf. The carrier's primary defense against all of this is its strike group, action of destroyers and cruisers equipped with the Aegis combat system, capable of intercepting incoming missiles. Against a single missile or a small salvo, Aegis performs well. But Iran's doctrine is not a single missile. It is saturation, ballistic missiles from high altitude, cruise missiles coming in low from a different direction, from another angle, fast boats from close range. All simultaneously. The Aegis system is excellent technology, but it has a finite capacity. Overwhelm it, and gaps appear. In the confined waters of the Gulf, where warning time can be measured in seconds rather than minutes, those gaps can be fatal. Now let's talk about what we don't know, because in this conflict, the information war is being fought just as hard as the military one. Iran's damage claims have a well-documented history of inflation. The IRGC announces victories for domestic audiences, for regional audiences for psychological effect. They are not neutral reporters of battlefield outcomes. But the United States has also not provided the one piece of evidence that would settle this debate immediately. Clear, real-time footage of an undamaged Abraham Lincoln flight deck, with aircraft launching and recovering. In the age of satellite imagery and social media, that absence of visual proof creates exactly the kind of vacuum Iran needs. That vacuum is not militarily neutral. The moment doubt exists about whether a carrier was struck, insurance rates for oil tankers in the region spike. Global oil prices, already volatile, move higher. Shipping companies begin recalculating routes. Allies begin asking difficult questions about whether American security guarantees are as solid as advertised. The economic and psychological weapon Iran is wielding doesn't require a confirmed kill. It only requires sustained uncertainty. Carrier story for a moment, and look at what has happened across this entire conflict in sequence. First, American air defense systems and Gulf bases were targeted and degraded. Then aerial refueling tankers at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia were struck. The flying gas stations that make long-range air campaigns mathematically possible. Then E-3 Sentry surveillance aircraft, the airborne coordination brains of the entire air operation, were destroyed across 2 countries in 18 hours. Then fighter jets on the ground. And now, ballistic missiles fired at the most powerful symbol of American naval power in the world. This is not a random series of attacks. It is a deliberate sequence. Pull back from the carrier story for a moment, and look at what has happened across this entire conflict in sequence. First, American air defense systems and Gulf bases were targeted and degraded. Then aerial refueling tankers at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia were struck. The flying gas stations that make long-range air campaigns mathematically possible. Then E-3 Sentry surveillance aircraft, the airborne coordination brains of the entire air operation, were destroyed across 2 countries in 18 hours. Fighter jets on the ground, and now ballistic missiles fired at the most powerful symbol of American naval power in the world. This is not a random series of attacks. It is a deliberate sequence, each strike targeting a different layer of the architecture that makes American military projection possible. Strip away the air defense. Remove the reach. Destroy the coordination. Ground the fighters. And now challenge the naval platform that anchors the entire regional operation. And they are executing it with a patience and precision that is forcing military planners in Washington, Riyadh, London, and Brussels to ask hard questions they haven't had to ask in a very long time. Washington is now facing a set of choices that have no clean answers. One path leads toward escalation, expanding military operations to reassert deterrence, and demonstrate that attacking American assets carries consequences that cannot be absorbed. Iran has already been warned directly by the U.S. president that further attacks will be met with all available force. A second path involves containment, intensive strikes on Iranian missile infrastructure and naval capabilities, while working to prevent the conflict from expanding into a full regional war that could pull in additional countries and collapse global energy markets. And somewhere in the background, diplomatic channels are almost certainly open. Because even in the middle of this level of conflict, governments explore the possibility of stepping back from the edge. For the Gulf states hosting American bases, the pressure is enormous. Iran has made its position explicit. Hosting American forces makes you a participant in this war. Neutral party. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, all are watching these events. Here's the bottom line. The USS Abraham Lincoln may be undamaged. The Pentagon says it is. It may well be true. But the fact that we are having this conversation at all, the fact that Iran fired ballistic missiles toward an American nuclear supercarrier, and the world is now genuinely debating what happened next, is itself a moment of profound strategic significance. For 80 years, the aircraft carrier has been more than a weapon system. It has been a guarantee, a promise written in steel and nuclear power that America's reach is global. It is real, and the cost of challenging it is prohibitive. That guarantee is now under sustained pressure. Not just from missiles, but from a carefully designed strategy aimed at one thing: changing what the world believes.